What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Open Matt Show. I am your host, as always, Matt. So we already got a bit of banter in the chat. We had Nard say Oliveira subs max around 100%. And Gertrude at 2112 says, nah, LOL, Oliveira wash it out. He'll need to grapple fuck max to win. Two very opposing takes there, but that's why we're all here, right? That's why we all love this sport. Anyway, so yeah, like I said, welcome back to the show. Got a good amount of stuff to talk about. A fair amount, I feel like. A little bit of boxing, mostly MMA today, though. Not too much boxing stuff to really talk about other than Conor Benn and Prograis, and kind of want to get my thoughts on that, the implications of that. But yeah, I'm pretty excited. Got a good amount to talk about. I've been excited to have this little show all week just so I could talk about combat sports for like an hour and a half. So if you're tuning in, thanks for tuning in. First thing I want to start off with is my reaction to UFC Mexico. I was going to upload an instant reaction video, but I just didn't get around to it. I'm going to start doing that, uploading my reactions every Monday instead of waiting until the fucking Wednesday after the fight to go over it. But pretty much what I want to talk about is how Loner Kavanaugh winning, which that was an impressive win, but I don't really want to talk about the X's and O's of it. I want to talk about the implications of Loner Kavanaugh winning. I feel like him winning completely shook up the flyweight division to a degree. I would say Moreno was kind of one of the last of the quote unquote OGs hanging up there in the higher rankings. So I got the flyweight rankings pulled up right here. I kind of want to take a look at them. As we can see, Joshua Van is a champion. We all know how that went down with Pantoja. But yeah, he went from, I think they unranked him like right the week before his fight with Moreno last week. But now he's number 6, and I think Moreno was number 6 previously. So pretty much he took Moreno's spot. And if you look at this top 6, other than Brandon Royval, I guess, and depends how you consider Tyra. I don't really consider him as somebody that's been there for too long. I don't think he's been in the top 3 before. But yeah, I mean, him winning completely kind of shook up all of this. Horiguchi, Tyra Cape is number 2 now. I mean, he's been up there for a little bit, but he keeps fumbling the bag. Pantoja's injured. We don't know when he's gonna come back. Joshua Van as champion with all these fresh matchups for him. It's really interesting. I don't really have too much to kind of go off of on that. We know Van and Tyra are fighting um, under Yuri and Oldberg, which I want to talk about that a little bit later as well. If you're here for my picks, you might want to come back in like 30 minutes. I always go over my picks at the end of the stream. But yeah, I don't know who's next for Kavanaugh. I would say give him Roy Vol. I think it depends what they're gonna do with Horiguchi. If they're doing Horiguchi versus Kape, then I'm cool with that. Or does Kape have a fight? I'm not 100% sure. But Horiguchi versus Kape would make sense to me, and then you could do Kavanaugh versus Roy Vol. I think that's fair enough. Um, but again, Pantoja could come in and throw all of this off schedule. We don't know when he's coming back. There was footage of him training like a month ago, or at least hitting pads a little bit. So uh, who knows when he comes back? I imagine he'll be given a title shot immediately. So he could throw a wrench into everything. But yeah, I did not expect Kavanaugh to win, to be honest. It's a good thing I don't have too many viewers or anything right now because I was talking so much shit. I said it'll be like a cartel torture video. I thought it was gonna be fucked up real bad, bloody in the face by the end of it. Um, I thought Moreno was gonna really put him through it. I thought Moreno was way above his skill level, and to a degree, I still believe that. I think peak for peak, prime for prime, Kavanaugh wouldn't be able to beat Moreno, but I don't know. Kavanaugh looked really good in there. He looked elite, and he didn't look like that in his last fight against Charles fucking Johnson. I don't know what it is with Charles Johnson, but if you get knocked out by Charles Johnson, you best believe you're probably a future champion or something because I don't know what is up with him knocking out uh, the it guys before they even get to that level. It's really interesting. Um, but yeah, I'm really curious what's going to happen with this flyweight division, specifically Leonard Kavanaugh. Again, he was unranked and he beat Moreno short notice, high elevation. I mean, all the cards were stacked against him, especially when you look at his last loss. It was really hard to pick Loner to win this in any way, and he pulled it out. He pulled it out convincingly. It wasn't a fluke. He whipped Brandon Moreno. He proved that his style really is good for pure boxers. Boxers, I guess the way Moreno is maybe not a pure boxer, but yeah, it was very impressive. I thought it was gonna get shredded up in there, man, but he proved why he has all the hype, and we got to watch who the hell Charles Johnson ends up beating in his next few fights, especially if they're unranked guys, up and coming guys, because obviously that's the tell on who's elite and who isn't, whether they get knocked out by Charles Johnson. But yeah, I kind of wanted to touch on Zuffa boxing a little bit as well. There were some other fights from UFC Mexico, but honestly, nothing of consequence to be David Martinez, I guess. But anyways, I kind of want to talk about the Conor Benn versus Regis Prograis announcement. I talked a lot about Zuffa boxing last week, so I kind of wanted to follow up a bit. This was announced that Wednesday. I think while I was live, I just didn't happen to catch it. Mm, I have like phlegm. Anyways, um, this is really interesting, right? On an earnings call, Mark Shapiro said that they were only going to have Conor Benn. They were only gonna have Conor Benn fight in big fights. It was gonna be one of those big 1 to 4 blockbuster fights that Zuffa planned on having. So the fact that Regis Prograis, which no disrespect to him, the fact that they consider him versus Conor Benn one of those mega fights is very interesting, right? 15 million to fight Prograis is I don't know. Yeah, the boxing industry and market is a lot more different than the MMA market. These guys can actually argue for more money because there's other places they can go. But to blow 15 million on a Progress co-main event, that's really interesting. And the fact that this is like a rain card as well is also interesting. At least in the initial announcement poster, I don't think I have it here. You don't see any Zuffa branding on it. It's all the ring. And yes, we know the ring is pretty much working with Zuffa. They're one and the same at this point. Um, it it's just baffling. I mean, Zuffa made a tweet too, showing it all the names on their roster, and they had Conor Benn there. Um, So I don't know. Maybe there's some other things that weren't announced. Maybe it's like kind of a trick wording. They only announced he's getting 15 million for one fight. For the rest of the fights on the contract, maybe he's getting a little bit less. Something like that. I don't know because no way they're gonna let him do a $50 million fight against Prograis in a co-main event and not want to build off of that or capitalize off of that. There were also rumors of Tyson Fury signing with Zuffa as well, but obviously that isn't fully true. He's with uh, Frank, and yeah, this is like I said, this is a ring card. Zuffa isn't marketed anywhere on here. Maybe I could find it. Let me try to find it. Hold on. Let me see. Sorry, I should probably talk a bit quieter if we're yeah, see, like if you look up Tyson Fury, the dude's name doesn't even come up. Here you go. Arslan Bekmakudov. And this is ultimately my issue with heavyweight boxing because like yeah, we kind of know who this guy, he's a up and comer, I guess, but like come on guys, like I don't know. Uh anyways, that's a whole different diatribe that could go on and how uh, heavyweight boxing and just boxing in general struggles with names, but that's not what I'm going to talk about here. I would like to see the official announcement poster. I thought Turkey Al Sheik posted something. Whatever. I'm not going to spend too much time on that. Um, but yeah, there's no Zuffa branding on the poster or anything like that. Uh, it makes you wonder why they paid as much as they did for Conor Benn. Clearly, at a minimum, it was for sure a political move, a flexing of the muscles, so to speak. Kind of little bro and Eddie Hearn. Hey, little bro, we're gonna put up an offer that you literally cannot match if you wanted to. And I think that's what Eddie Hearn was kind of implying as well. They tried to match, but they didn't get the chance to, and that's why Dana said it was bullshit because technically he did, but he just couldn't. Um, so yeah, like I said, maybe it's a front heavy deal, and they want to get Conor Benn back for more fights under the actual Zuffa banner. But yeah, this is very interesting. Turkey allegedly footed the bill per Mark Shapiro on this earnings call. I think legally he can't be lying like that. I could be wrong. Um, but the fact that Turkey used to work so closely with these other promoters and now he's kind of personally funding the enemy, it makes you wonder. It makes you wonder. It seems like Turkey has picked his carriage, the champion, the horse he's going to hitch himself to, and it's Zuffa. So, yeah, I'm curious to see how that's going to work out. Again, there has to be more to the plan. 50 million for even as just a political flex of the muscles, 50 million is a lot of fucking money to spend on that. And you got Adesanya speaking up, you got O'Malley speaking up, you got all these guys speaking up. And whether you pawn it off as Turkey footed the bill, not us, um, these fighters are upset that they're seeing 15 million for a guy they may have never heard of before. So that's going to be something to keep an eye on. As for the Fury fight, again, I mean, it is what it is. I feel like it's just another warm up fight for him. He should win that. Ben should beat Prograis. It would be a disaster if he loses. That destroys everything. But yeah, I'm very curious to see how this goes. If they get Shakur, then they can confirm pretty much they're going to get Ben again for another fight. We don't. I don't know. I'm speaking on my ass. We don't know how this is all going to turn out. Um, and yeah, we just got to wait for more news and more things to happen in the world of boxing before any of us can fully determine what Zuffa's next plan is. If we get 15 million for Prograis, that's baffling. But let's go ahead and move on to MMA again. Some pretty big news. I feel like the arguably the biggest news of the week. I'm keeping my eye out on Twitter too, just in case they announce the White House card tonight. They might, or they might end up doing it on the pay per view. That kind of makes sense. But it was announced that Yuri Prowaska is going to be fighting Carlos Olberg in the main event of UFC 327 for the vacant light heavyweight title. So Alex Pereira has vacated his light heavyweight title. Massive fucking news. And that confirms a lot of things. That implies a lot of things across a few divisions, including 185 possibly, but we'll get to all that. Um, And yeah, I had talked about last week how this card was low key mid, um, without a main event. But this main event turns this card into a certified banger. I know a lot of people don't like I'm saying that. A lot of people thought that was a casual take by me, but it's just the truth. Like, come on, guys. Darius Torres, that's a good fight, but like, come on. Nobody's clamoring for that. Anyways, this is really, really interesting. I think these are the right guys. I saw some people were upset that it wasn't Ankalaev. Come on. It wasn't going to fucking be Ankalaev. He disappeared off the face of the earth after that Pereira fight. I don't know. Maybe he fucking fired his PR guy. Uh, I don't know, but he's been radio silent, it seems like. So, what is it? Closed mouths don't eat, as they say. And yeah, I think it went to the right two guys. Obviously, Yuri had to be a part of this. He's probably one of the bigger stars in the sport right now. And this is really interesting. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't really have much to say about the matchup. It's for sure going to be fireworks. It's going to 100% result in a finish, no shot. It goes to a decision, and we're going to find out how good Oldberg really is, or we're going to find out how washed Yuri is. Because I think quick little preview of how I think it'll go. Oldberg's going to be kind of teeing off on Yuri in the first few rounds, but we know how Yuri goes. After that second or third, he could just go harder than anybody else genetically. He's just built different, literally. So I think it'll go towards Yuri more as the fight goes on. But again, it's way too fucking early to really talk about this fight. But yeah, when I was about to say 185, 205 is in a really interesting spot with a prospect of Whitaker moving up. When's Jamal Hill, the GOAT, coming back? Possibly fucking Chimaev moving up. Uh, 205 is a very, very, very interesting. It's an interesting spot right now, and there's a good chance, just kind of like flyweight, one or two more fights, we could be looking at a whole new landscape, seemingly. So that's another division to keep an eye on. I'm really curious to see how Hamzat Chimaev reacts to this. Did he? Does he want to? We're gonna find out if he actually wants to move up a weight because he can't make 185 anymore. We know that picture released of him where he looked real big, or we're gonna find out whether he just kind of wanted Pereira as like a money fight. I think the latter. I think he just wanted Pereira for a money fight. I don't think there's no fucking way he let himself get so out of shape to the point where he put on so much fucking muscle within a year that he has to make 205 now. That's a pretty big jump from 155, 145, 135. It's 15 pounds. I guess it's not that much. I don't know. Uh, oh no, what is that? 20 pounds? Yeah, it's 20 pounds. Um, that's actually a fair amount. So we're gonna find out. We're gonna find out. I would imagine a Yuri or Oldberg is somewhat of an easier fight for him, um, rather than a Pereira. But I could be wrong on that. I just really do feel like we completely underestimate Pereira's grappling, because he has Glover Teixeira coaches and training partners that are his size, that could show moves that worked in fights in the weight class that he competes in. So I think that's a very invaluable experience. But anyways, 205 is about to be very interesting. I think this is a really good main event. This card should be fucking fireworks. I mean, a lot of these are probably going to end in a finish. I mean, oh, I didn't know they moved Reyes Walker down. That's interesting. Um, I thought they were a little bit higher up. But yeah, this is absolutely a great card. Um, I like the new order makes it look a lot better too. I'm kind of getting lost in my words here. And yeah, again, it's way too early to kind of talk about this. Um, like I said, who knows how this is going to go? Who knows who will be next for these guys on who wins? Um, like I said, I'm sure if you're Whitaker, you're licking your fucking chops because Pereira would have broke his fucking jaw. I think Jamal Hill absolutely destroys Whitaker, but like I said, with Alex Pereira leaving the division, it opens up a lot of things. I'm sure a lot of people are going to be talking about going to 205, and I'm curious to see if Chimaev will be one of them. But let's move on to the elephant in the room, so to speak. With Alex Pereira vacating his title, that kind of only can I said that weird. That can really only mean one thing: Alex Pereira versus John Jones at the White House. To the point where John Jones even confirmed. Uh, I I'm probably not going to play. Oh, I don't want to play for you guys. Yeah, that's a little loud. I'm not going to play for you guys the clip, but Here's John Jones pretty much confirming that he is in negotiations with the UFC about this White House thing. That's what he said. Obviously, it's going to be against Alex Pereira. Why else would he vacate the belt? But um, the fact that Pereira vacated a belt, to me, that confirms that this is going to be for a belt. There is zero fucking shot that they are going to have Alex Pereira. Honestly, there's several things. There's zero shot Pereira vacated his belt um, just to fight, just to fight without a belt. Obviously, we don't know how these new contracts are going with no more pay per view and anything, but I would imagine that a belt warrants a better contract, better negotiating power, more money, regardless of your record or whatever, undefeated or whether you didn't lose your belt or not. If you don't have it, you lose some negotiating power, bargaining power. So I highly, 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 highly doubt Pereira would have gave up his belt unless it meant he's for sure fighting for another one. Um, Now here's a real question: is it going to be the silver interim or is it going to be the gold undisputed? Are they going to strip Tom Aspinall for being eye gouged? I think it should be for the interim personally, but I don't know. I'm not fully confident in that. It almost seems like a gimme that it'll be for the interim belt. 100K bonuses Dana did, pretty valid. Oh yeah, 100K bonuses. Yeah, I agree. I agree. I agree. I agree. I mean, it should have been changed a long time ago, a long, long time ago. Um, there's no way. There's no way that they're gonna have Pereira. Pereira would have given up his belt without having to fight for another belt. He just wouldn't. No fight. You'd have to be stupid to give up your belt if you're not guaranteed to fight for another one. Now Ariel kind of confirmed that McGregor won't be fighting on the White House. He's more likely to fight on International Fight Week. So that kind of eliminates McGregor. And we heard rumor that they're not interested in Gaethje versus Ilya because they don't want the American to get slumped by a foreigner like that. So that doesn't leave a lot of fights. It's not going to be fucking Kayla Harrison. They're not putting her as a main event for the White House clearly. Um, and Dana said they're going to announce it this week, so it's a fight that they could realistically make right now. John Jones saying right here that he's in negotiations. Pereira vacating the title. It's very clearly going to be Alex Pereira versus John Jones. Now, I am seeing some people say it should be Surreal gone for the interim or whatever. Fuck him. That's what I think. He's the reason we're in this fucking mess. I think he's a dirty fighter. Whether he means to be dirty or not, it doesn't matter. He's a dirty fighter. He has a consistent history of doing shit like this. So almost as like the punishment, just yeah, you're not getting the rematch to fight for the interim belt. It might be Gone versus Pereira, but Oliveira actually spoke out recently at Media Day saying that Pereira has a much bigger fight. Chimaev versus Strickland. Strickland would get destroyed respectfully, but Chimaev should get stripped for being out of the game for a year or more now. No, honestly, I don't think they'll put Chimaev versus Strickland at the White House. Strickland is like another American they could do that for, but to be honest, like, yeah, Strickland would get destroyed by a dude that looks like Chimaev, and Chimaev's gonna yell Allah Akbar on the White House lawn. There's no fucking shot they'll even allow that to happen. If they don't want Taporia to knock out Gaethje, um, I did watch Armand Giorgio. I did. I should have put that in my title. That was pretty good. Again, I mean, maybe this is all a part of the UFC's plan. I'm building Armand into a massive star, but it seems like everything Armand touches is turning into gold. I mean, I'm seeing his collabs everywhere. This thing blew the fuck up completely. I mean, it was just crazy. It was crazy how like he waited for the thing to stop and then rushed in and punched Giorgio, kind of shoved him over. Now, I don't really care. I'm not gonna sit here and condemn him. Oliveira gets destroyed unless he doesn't. I'm on fence with this fight. Me too. Me too. Actually, I I kind of think on the feet, I don't think he stands a chance against Max Holloway. I really don't. I think the speed of Max Holloway's hands are going to give Oliveira a lot of fucking problems. And we know Oliveira doesn't have the chin. We all know that. The grappling is going to be really interesting. Oliveira could catch Max into something, but I think Max is smart enough. It's not like he's like some up and coming striker. He's been around long enough to avoid any obvious gimme submissions, I would think. Yeah, I don't hate Armon at all. I used to not care for Armon, like at all. I really didn't care for him either way. People were like, "Oh, he's the one to beat Islam," this and that. I was like, whatever. Uh, but honestly, after all of this, he really, really grew on me. He really did. I was like, yeah, he fucked up his title shot opportunity, put him at the bottom of the line again. But I agree. That's exactly how I have it. I think Max is gonna win by 2 or 3. I agree. Yeah, I think Max does present knockout power, especially for Oliveira. Specifically, I don't even know. Maybe not like KO, but like for sure a TK. Like I could fully see something against the fence. Oliveira's a little hurt, and that's the thing with Max. When he hits you with one, he has a handful more coming back at you. But I'm kind of curious to see how Oliveira sizes up against a Holloway. Oliveira is big for the weight class, but height wise, they're pretty close together. Um, I want to see how they are like weight wise, stature wise. Um, I don't settle on any fact. I'm generally trying to break it down logically from a vetting standpoint. Um, that, that's a good way to do it. I guess the only way to do it really, but I don't. I go for vibes, man. I'm kidding. Um, but I do actually. My vibes do kind of I do go off of gut feelings a lot of the time when you consider all the facts. Any new guys that are coming up that are catching my eye? Emanol. I think Emanol Rodriguez looked good. Um, Saul killed if you count him as like a new guy. Um, a Kavanaugh, I guess. I mean, I yapped about Kavanaugh a little bit earlier. I thought he was fucking cooked, but he proved he's elite. Um, but nobody too crazy, honestly. I don't pay too much attention to the regional scene. Sometimes I do. I'm kind of tapped in, and sometimes I'm not. I would be lying if I said as of late I am. Uh, but I always watch Contender Series, and typically before Contender Series, I kind of familiarize myself on up and coming guys that may potentially be on there and stuff like that before the names are announced and all that. But in the UFC, I would say Saul killed for sure. He seems very well rounded. I would love to see him go against someone like really high level, see some adversity. Oh, no fucking kidding! You met DC. Oh, in Cali, that's cool. He brought his wrestling team with him, high school team. He has a bunch of he ended up getting a bunch of D1 guys. I don't remember. I know they did real good in a tournament not too long ago. Never seen your channel before, but subbed and hit like just to drop in and BS and talk from now and keep doing your thing, bro. Thanks, Static Extract 3023. I try, man. And yeah, that's kind of what I'm here for. I just wanted some, I always look for a show, nice casual, talk about fights, nothing too serious, but competent enough, I would hope. Uh, and I didn't really find anything like that, so I figured I would try to fill that gap. So yeah, thanks, man. That goes a real long way. Much appreciated. Um, but that's really cool. You met DC, man. That's very, very cool. I've never met any fighter actually. My uncle met Matt Brown before. My uncle's met a fair amount of fighters. Matt Brown. Shoot, who did Matt Brown fight? Um, where I'm trying to think. Matt is legit, man. Very knowledgeable and casual dude. Keep doing your thing. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Oh, that goes a long way. Truly. Any interaction, any share. Follow me over on Twitter at Open Mat Live. Anything like that. Real small channel. So every comment, everything that goes a long way. That's really all you can truly do, and it means a lot, man. It truly does mean a lot. Uh, yeah, that's very cool. You met DC, man. Man, I used to go to the gym a while ago. I haven't gone in a while. I kind of moved out to the middle of bumfuck nowhere. So I just do what I can in my garage, in my home gym. But I never got to the point where I was meeting anybody at that level. I met people that met UFC fighters and stuff like that, but I never got to the point where I ever got in the room with them specifically. Uh, what's it called? I met this guy. he got called up for a Cody Garbrandt fight when Cody I think it wasn't the Cruz fight. I don't know. This was I was in Ohio for some training for an old job of mine, and this guy was my trainer, and he used to be a former OSU wrestler. And he was telling me about, oh, this young kid at the time named Cody. And I was like, Cody Garbrandt? I was like, yeah, yeah. Said it so casually. It was very cool. But uh, I mean, I've never been to an event, nothing like that. But this year, I plan on going to Vegas or something. Maybe I'll make a video out of it. Um, maybe I'll roam around the bars and stuff too, see if I can find any stragglers or anything. Because I know sometimes, again, my uncle met, shoot, I'm tripping. I'm forgetting their names. Uh, was it might have been Weidman, I wanna say. He ran into Weidman on the Vegas Strip near somewhere, I don't know. But anyways, I digress. Yeah, it seems like it'll be Jones, Pereira at the White House. I really don't think it'll be, anybody else. I don't know who it could be unless let me see, any news break? No. Yeah, no news broke or anything like that, so it's gonna be Pereira Jones, no fucking shot, it'll be gone. I mean, that would just be that would be a waste of the whole thing. Why would you put a Frenchman and Brazilian up there? It's gonna be John Jones versus Pereira. Now the real question is if John Jones or if Pereira somehow knocks out John Jones for an interim belt or not, where does he rank on the GOAT list? If he were to win belt, if they were to strip Tom and Pereira were to somehow win the belt, he'd be undeniably the GOAT, right? Like on paper. But practically, we all know, like, no way that could be true, right? He beat an older John and all that. I don't know. It poses a lot of questions. It's very exciting to see the potential of seeing a three-time champ, his story of being in the bar and all that. It's very good. Um, but yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, I again, we don't. It's kind of hard for me to fully speculate on it because we don't have any evidence that's well, there is evidence that that is what is going to happen, but it's I think we would have to give Pereira a better chance than what most would think because I doubt John has been training this whole time, whereas Pereira, he's been an active champion. He's probably been training like it. Whereas I would say John, maybe not. And him running in that video, that flag football game kind of affirms that, in my opinion. And not to say that Pereira would beat a Jones prime for prime or anything like that, but Pereira's good and he has intangible power at a degree in which we haven't seen for a long time. And if that carries over to heavyweight, who knows? Stipe landed some flurries on John. I'm sure Pereira could as well. And like I said, he has some good training partners for grappling and stuff. Yeah, John kind of smoked on Glover, but you never know. You never know, right? Uh, but yeah, that's kind of all I have to talk about in terms of the news of the week. I feel like there's nothing new, nothing too big that also kind of happened, unless I'm missing something. Here, yeah, Dana White said he's going to announce the entire White House card this week, probably on Saturday, I would imagine, on the UFC card on CBS, right? They did say it will partially be on CBS. That kind of caught my eye. The fact that they said it'll partially be on CBS, I feel like just so they could get the commercials off for the White House card. But that's just a little schizo theory of mine. I mean, we don't actually know until they announce it, but it's got to be Jones Pereira, Kayla Amanda if Kayla's okay. Should have put in Arlie Scar. But anyways, let's go ahead and talk about the fights for this weekend. The long-awaited Charles Oliveira versus Max Holloway, the BMF title bout, the bell of the ball, the thing I put in my thumbnail and title. And we're just gonna go over the main card here. Although this is a very, very solid card, I'm not gonna lie. It's crazy Cody Garbrandt is in the prelims, but when you look at the main event, I mean, you maybe could have put him above here, but in terms of a merit, it's nothing too crazy to have Cody down there. But yeah, I mean, this is for sure going to be a banger card. It's a lot of these are going to end in finish, in my opinion. There's no way that a lot of them don't. Actually, now that I'm kind of looking at it, but we're gonna have some fucking bangers on this card. We're gonna have some absolute bangers. So let me go ahead and start with Gregory RoboCop Rodriguez versus Bruno Ferreira. This one's I feel like is kind of like a train wreck fight. If you look at, sorry guys, I don't use Tapology. I use UFC stats. It's what I like to do. It is what it is. But as you can see here, Pereira, I feel like has a better, more recent win. Yeah, he beat RoboCop, beat Kopylov, but come on, what does a Kopylov win really mean nowadays? I feel like everybody kind of has that. Every proper up and comer has that Kopylov W on their record for legitimacy. And if we're going off of records, look at the last guy that we banked on his Kopylov wins and stuff. Kopylov and Delidze wins being enough to get in the victory. Of course, I'm referring to Hernandez in that Strickland fight. Strickland got smoked. Or shoot, what the hell? For Hernandez got smoked. Fluffy got smoked. So that's kind of what I'm thinking here. I actually do think RoboCop has overall fought better competition than Ferreira. But if we're going off of their last fight, Ferreira beat Marvin Vittori. But something that I think is a big issue here is that he got outstruck by Marvin Vittori. I I know Vittori's still good and all that, but or, still decent. Ferreira shouldn't have gotten outstruck by Vittori. He got the decision win. I think I remember at the time a lot of people felt Vittori won that, but point blank, he won that fight. Now, if you look at his method of victory or loss, this guy is a fucking train wreck. It seems like he either finishes people or he gets finished. So I think guys like that always have a decent chance to win just because they throw shit at the wall to see what sticks. You could put a guy like that, a crash out like that against Islam fucking Makachev, and there's a chance that he can win that fight. Probably a higher chance than a guy that would come in with a proper technical game plan. That being said, I do think that RoboCop is kind of better. I do think he has the better record here. He's fought the better competition. Yes, he has lost when he went to that kind of higher level. And Jared Cannonier, he got finished there, and so there is a chance that Ferreira can kind of drag it on and really hurt RoboCop. But RoboCop, he has shown he could fight for a full 5 rounds, and he has that power throughout the 5 rounds. He kind of wears down towards the end of the five, but this is only a 3 rounder. So I think he'll have his energy for the whole time. He's getting a bit older, but he consistently shows that uh, I don't want to see a gatekeeper, but like a perpetual contender in this division. I do think this fight is going to end in a finish regardless of who wins. Um, but I'm going to have to go with RoboCop, honestly. I do think Ferreira's kind of the young buck, so to speak, coming up. But, and he did beat Petrosian. I know Ferreira failed to do that, or RoboCop failed to do that previously. But I just feel like RoboCop is a little bit quicker to the punch. I think we'll find out really quickly who's going to win this fight via the first few exchanges. Um, RoboCop just seems to be a lot more calm, a lot more willing, less reluctant to swing and go for broke, go for his shots, and that could work against him. He could get clipped, but I think ultimately he'll catch Ferreira before Ferreira could catch him. So I'm gonna have to go with Gregory RoboCop Rodriguez. Um, right, I was gonna say yeah, I know he has a reach and everything, and like I said, I just think he's a little bit quicker. Ferreira's messier, maybe more powerful. I don't know. But see, looking at the record, that makes me not confident in this pick. But I think RoboCop's going to pull it out, to be honest. But either way, someone's going to get finished pretty brutally. I'm about to go with RoboCop. Next, we got Drew Dober versus Michael Johnson. This is a pretty fucking good one too. I'm not going to lie. Um, this one is probably going to go to finish as well. Shoot, this is a really tough one. Uh, damn. It really depends which version of which fighter shows up, right? If the Michael Johnson that P Stubs Yell Huber shows up, he could probably finish Dober because I feel like Dober's chin has finally been cracked. But all the memes and everything, Dober could catch Michael Johnson easily. Um, I mean, I am just gonna have to go with Michael Johnson. I feel like his last win is a lot more impressive than Drew Dober's. Who did Drew Dober beat? I don't even remember. Um, and I know Zellhuber just recently proved that he's kind of ass. So how much do you rate that win? But Michael Johnson looked really good against a bigger opponent. I think that's always impressive. Yeah, I mean, look at Dober's fucking record, dude. I mean, no shame in a lot of these losses. Some hard hitters here, but Michael Johnson can be a hard fucking hitter, and that first round KO is very concerning. Yeah, that was 2 fights ago, but Michael Johnson could fuck this up, but he's been on a streak lately. I mean, he really pieced up Zell Huber. If he comes out with that confidence and momentum, he could really punish Drew Dober. So I'm gonna have to go with Michael Johnson, probably by finish. I would imagine maybe in the second round, first round even. I can see Dober coming in for like an explosive 1-2 like he likes to do, and then Johnson catches him, uh, maybe with a hook or something like that. Kind of similar to the Oliveira Chandler knockout. I don't know what I'm talking about, but I do think Michael Johnson's probably gonna finish Drew Dober. I like Drew Dober, funny beam and all that, entertaining fighter, but we've kind of seen his downfall the last couple fights, and with the streak Michael Johnson's been on, he's not the kind of guy that you'll probably turn your career around on. This isn't the kind of fight where you'll do that. So I got Michael Johnson via, I'll say first round TKO. If not, he'll probably win by decision. I don't think, aside from like a fucking crazy ass overhand, I don't think Dober's gonna catch Michael Johnson. All right, we're on to the final three fights of this main card. These are pretty good actually. The top two really have a lot of implications for the future of their divisions, respective divisions. But we got Rob Font versus Raul Rosas Jr. This was signed before, but for I don't remember who got injured. Somebody got injured. It didn't happen. But this is a proper step up for Raul Rosas Jr. I feel like Font has been in this situation before where they put him up against the young up and comers, and he makes them earn their fucking paycheck. And he's not in there as like a stepping stool, although he is, but like he's a test. That's a proper way to put it. It's not a stepping stone, a staircase, a step, a rung in the ladder. He's a proper trial, a test. You're gonna find out if you're championship material. And what I mean by that is like let's look at who he's fought lately. I'm pretty sure there's a few guys. Matsumoto kind of. Huh, maybe I'm tripping. I feel like I remember him fighting shit. Never mind, guys. But anyways, Rob Font is really fucking good. He's been the underdog many times, and he's came in and looked really fucking good a lot of times. He's been in this position before. Um, and yeah, I mean, he's really solid on the hands. Rosas, he doesn't have too much experience in there. We know he's handled adversity. We know that. We saw him almost get choked out. We saw his fucking face almost blow up. Um, but the thing is, though, he's consistently getting better every fight. And assuming he's been on that track, he should be able to win this relatively easily. He clearly has a lot better wrestling than Rob Font. It's the striking that puts everything into question, and how well can he mix that up? Because if he's as shameless about the grappling and Rob Font can keep it on the feet, Rosas might be in some huge trouble because Rob Font will fucking punish you. If you have a crack in your game and can't get him down, he will punish you on the feet. And I feel like Font is the type of fighter when he starts to quote unquote taste blood on the feet, he really lays it on you. Um, and like I said, Font's been in this position before. This is, I would say, the hardest fight for Raul Rosas Jr. Like I said, it's really interesting the UFC kind of re-signed this fight because, again, Rob Font's specialty is where Rosas's non-specialty lies. Does that make sense? You could argue it's the same thing, vice versa, but Font is the experienced vet. We've seen this matchup before. The vet pulls out a lot of the time too. Pulls out the victory a lot of the time. So pretty much, I think it comes down to how good Rosas has been getting between fights. There's been a lot of different rumors and stuff on his focus and things like that, whether he really wants to do this or not. Just a lot of, rumors, rumblings on Twitter and stuff. But I think as long as he's been grinding, has been really working on his striking and mixing that into his grappling game, he should be able to beat Rob Font. But again, if he's been stagnating, been partying, been not really locked in like that, Rob Font isn't the guy to fuck around with. He will expose that and he will punish you bad if you come in there unprepared and overconfident. But I'm a big fan of Chiweewees. Honestly, I know a lot of people don't like him. I think he's all right. Uh, I don't know. I don't mind him. I don't mind him that much. There's not a lot of people that even attempt like a gimmick or anything. So it looks like that he doesn't have the reach. Is he taller? I feel like they were like the same size. Rosas is he's wide for the division. He's not really like tall or anything. But yeah. I'm just really curious to see how his striking is. If he comes out confident with the striking and looks real good, then we probably have nothing to worry about. But Rosas has a lot to prove before he really goes up in the rankings too much. We can't rush him too early because 135 is a deep fucking division, and there are a lot of people that could ruin Rosas's career this early. There's a lot of people that can make some highlights off of him, and the UFC has clearly been doing some gentle matchmaking. Which again, that's why I'm so surprised that they're having him fight Rob Font because if Rosas hasn't been grinding, like I said, if this goes bad for Rosas, it's gonna go really bad for Rosas. He's not gonna lose a close decision. He's gonna get the shit beaten out of him if he loses this fight. So um, I'm just gonna go ahead and trust that he's been locked in. He's been looking better every fight. He's shown he can handle adversity. So I am gonna go with Rosas via unanimous decision, maybe even a submission. But I trust that he's a lot more confident in his striking, and more so, he's a lot more confident in his mixed his MMA. Where if he gets in trouble on the feet, he could get it to the ground or against the cage and stall out and quote unquote score points from there. So I'm gonna go with Rosas via unanimous decision. But again, if he loses, I predict it'll be a very bad loss, and he's gonna get hurt if he plays around with Rob Font. Anyways, we're on to the co-main event. We got Kyle Barrio, leader of the Fighting Nerds, versus RDR. You know, a lot of people didn't like either of these guys, to be honest, but I was a big fan of both of these guys from the jump. Um, RDR, I just always like the idea of somebody from another organization coming in and challenging our guys, UFC guys, um, especially if they have success. That was just a really cool story to see. And I appreciate people that have a gimmick, especially Kyle Barrio. Seemed like an intelligent guy. He started the Fighting Nerds thing, and whether you like it or not, he put all his guys on. He brought the initial eyes on them, uh, and they're talented. The rest, he looked around, saw, listen, we got some skilled fighters, but we're not getting the chance that we deserve. I'm gonna make sure we get that chance, and I respect that. I think that's really cool. I'm sure all his buddies were like, "What the fuck, dude? What are these glasses? This nerdy shit, this weird shit." But he's definitely been vindicated. Anyways, I'm a big fan of both of these guys, but I'm being honest. This one's pretty easy for me to call. I don't think it'll be all that close, other than the first few rounds. Um, I think Reiner's gonna look really good in the first couple rounds, but just straight up, I think Kyle's gonna break Reiner. Kyle has shown he could go for uh, pause. That's what she said preemptively, but Kyle can go for harder, for longer, against tougher opponents. We saw that in the Imavov fight. They were going at a high pace. And ironically, that's what breaks RDR. I feel like that super high pace. Um, he's not he moves slow. He fights very slow when he's not on the ground. And even then, he really takes his time to set things up on the feet. Um, I think those first few rounds, RDR will give Kaya a lot of issues. That knee might give Kaya a lot of issues in terms of getting into range. I think Kaya struggled with the range in the Imavov fight. So I don't see that fully changing here. RDR is nowhere near the striker that Imavov is, but those knees are definitely deadly. So those first few rounds might be close, but Kyle's smart. I think he'll learn how to get in. And I think once you get past that second or third round, RDR, he starts to fade, especially if the fight is tough and it's not going his way. He seemingly breaks. And like I said, we've seen Kyle fight hard for 5 rounds, even in a fight that he's absolutely losing. Again, the Imavov fight. I point to the Imavov fight. Fucking hell. Anyways, again, I point to the. Sorry about that. My alarm went off. Anyways, I point to the Imavov fight. Kyle, Kyle looked good. I feel like his pace looked good, but he just didn't have what it took to get past that striking. But I think that pace alone will be enough to get past RDR striking the knees in the first few rounds. And if it doesn't, for sure, after the third round, he'll be able to kind of get past it. So pretty much, I just think Kyle's going to break RDR as that fight goes on. Um, I am seeing pictures of RDR last fight to this fight. He's in a lot better shape. His cardio is seemingly a lot better. If that's the case, Kyle could have a lot of issues here. But based off of what we saw in their last fights, I have to go with Kyle, guys. Like I said, RDR could give him a lot of issues, but RDR will have to make a big, massive improvement. If we took the guys who we saw last fight in both of their last fights, um, Kyle would break RDR in a very similar fashion in which RDR was broken his last fight. So I'm going to go with Kyle Barrio there. I'm going to say third or fourth round TKO. Again, like I said, I just think it's gonna be a third or fourth round. We're gonna see RDR really slow down and just Kyle's gonna punish him. He may be down on the cards up to that point, but I think Kyle's gonna show he could just go more than RDR can. So now we're on to the main event. The thing I put into the thumbnail, the clickbait, everything like that. I've been waiting for this fight for a while. I remember there were some really good fucking promos that I still can't find, but there were some really, really good promos on the first Paramount card that I was so excited for. Oliveira riding a horse, and then it cuts to black and just Oliveira on the screen, and then Max Holloway looking over the cliff at the ocean in Hawaii. Then it cuts to black and it says Holloway, and with the date 3/4/26. It was just fucking awesome. In my opinion, those promos helped building up this fight. Although these guys haven't really said much, but I guess hold enough name value alone, right? Anyways, yeah, this is a really good fight, but again, as the title may suggest, I got to be honest, guys. I don't think it'll be all that close. I think it can be close, but uh, if Max Holloway, if Max Holloway's even half as good, or 75% as good as he's been looking, I don't think he's gonna have much trouble with Charles Oliveira. Oliveira does have power in his hands, that is true, and he is a bit unconventional on the striking. Those jabs really work well, and kind of uppercuts. But the big thing that really helps Oliveira is that he's big and taller than like all of his opponents. So that little jab uppercut, that hook that he caught Chandler with, that uppercut who's catching Ilya with and Gaethje with, that comes from a weird angle. It comes from underside, and it's a lot easier for Oliveira to land because he's taller than these guys. Max Holloway is roughly the same height, if not taller than him. So that kind of changes. That adds a dynamic that Oliveira hasn't had to deal with in maybe ever, at least in a long time. Um, and yeah, I mean, Oliveira's a good striker, but come on, he's not Max fucking Holloway in the striking, right? It's fair to say Max gets the dub there. And I kind of alluded to it earlier. Yes, Oliveira is clearly the better grappler. I'm very curious to see how he goes for the takedowns and the collar ties and everything. Curious to see. Somebody said it earlier in the chat, but I'm curious to see if he is going to try to just straight up wrestle fuck Max. That would be interesting considering it's a BMF belt, but you do what you got to do, right? Um, but yeah, I mean, Max at 155 looks dangerous. He clearly has more power, and as people like to say, he has lighter man skills, so to speak. And I don't really like using that phrase, to be honest. Um, but when I hear that, I think of the speed pretty much. Max has hand speed that we haven't really seen. The flurries that he punches, they may not be the most perfect technically, but he throws punches and bunches at a rate that you haven't seen at 155 in a while, at least. Um, like for example, if he hurts Oliveira against a cage, there's probably going to be like 2 or 3 more coming back after that, and that's pretty much what I worry for the most with Oliveira. Um, if Oliveira gets hurt, he doesn't have to worry about one punch KO power like Ilya, but who knows Oliveira's chin and Max's power at 155? Who knows at this point? Um, but if Oliveira gets hit with a solid one, it doesn't have to knock him out because there's a handful more coming after that. And if he's too wobbled to get a proper collar tie going, a proper takedown going, he might be in some serious trouble. Now, I do agree that Max is a little bit quote unquote washed. I think his chin has been cracked to a degree, um, especially at 155, weirdly enough. But I don't think Oliveira, like I said, Oliveira's power in his hands, but I don't think he's the kind of guy to. He's not going to catch a guy like Max Holloway. A Gaethje, yes. A Gaethje swings like a fucking maniac. We've seen that. He's not like a crazy slick boxer. And Oliveira is good at sneaking shots in, under, and hooks, uh, uppercuts and hooks. Uh, Max Holloway is a way better striker defensively. I feel like people don't bring up his striking defense that much. He's very good at rolling with punches, and when Max gets hit, he gets hit. But there's a lot of shots that don't miss him, and if they do hit him, he usually throws 2 in return. And I don't think Oliveira can play that game with Max Holloway. Um, yeah, I'm just very, very curious. I expect Oliveira to maybe attempt to strike with Holloway at first, but I imagine once they get really close in the pocket, Oliveira is going to throw knees, collar tie and knee, collar tie and knee. Um, yeah, and maybe leg kicks to kind of stop Max Holloway's movement. Um, but truly, I think it's I just don't think Oliveira has the chin and durability to go against a Max Holloway for 5 rounds. Uh, yes, his grappling is probably a lot better than Max Holloway's, but at this point in the game, I would imagine Max Holloway, he's a veteran, you know. He's not going to fall into anything. He's not going to fall into anything obvious Oliveira is going to throw at him. And a lot of people like to say it because this is true. All fights start on the feet. Um, if I don't think it'll be smart for Oliver to pull guard or anything like that. Uh, yeah, Max may not have one punch KO power, but he has power at 155 enough to make the Dustin Poiriers, the Gaethjes, and all that to punish them. Yeah, he knocked Gaethje out after a grueling 5 rounds, but the punches were still affecting Gaethje even early on in the first round. And we know Oliveira doesn't really have the best chin either, so who knows how that's going to affect Oliveira. He could go out there and knock him the fuck out just like Ilya did. We don't know. And honestly, that's what really concerns me. Here, we look at their fights. Um, shit, I'm not going to lie. I kind of forgot Oliveira fought again. I'm not going to lie. Shit. He did fight Gamrot. I completely forgot he fought Gamrot. Wow. Yeah, yeah. I'm kind of tripping. I forgot he fought Gamrot because the Ilya Taporia knockout is just stuck in my head. So I guess we could really compare both of these guys, both of their victories. You could say Oliveira has been a lot more active, and both of their last losses were against the same guy. But yeah, Oliveira got put to sleep pretty bad. Uh, and I kind of do agree with the comment I said earlier. Unless he can't stand and bang with Holloway, he can't. He can't stand and bang with Holloway. Obviously, he's gonna have to use his grappling to really, really, really throw off Max Holloway's striking game. If he can secure the takedown once or twice and get Max down and hold him there for a round or two, honestly, just 1 round, that's all he would need to maybe even out the striking. But yeah, I feel like we haven't seen Max Holloway's grappling be fully tested in this way. So again, that'll be interesting to see. But he's been around the game for so long. I would hope and I would imagine he's picked up a trick or two. You don't get as far as he has unless unless you can handle yourself on the ground. Nobody's ever said that they ragdoll Max on the ground. You never hear anything about that. So I would imagine aside from, Oliveira properly taking him down, Max isn't going to give Oliveira anything easy. Cardio is going to be really interesting to see. We know Oliveira could go 5 rounds. We know Max can as well, but again, this is at 155, a different weight class. Um, but I just think Max is going to be a lot better. He's like properly settled in at 155. He knows he's never coming down to 145 ever again. Um, and yeah, I know Oliveira had another fight, but I just can't get the fact that he got slept cold. He got fucking colded. It was bad, dude. It's hard. It's hard for me to erase that out of my mind, especially when he's going up against a striker like Charles Oliveira. Yeah, yeah, yeah. He submitted Matuz Gamrot or whatever. And you know what? A lot of people might think I'm a fucking Oliveira hater because I picked Gamrot to beat Oliveira, believe it or not, as a dumb take by me. But Max Holloway is not Matuz Gamrot. He's a way deadlier striker. And again, if Oliveira is just lazy with his defensive striking, which he kind of was in the Ilya fight, I feel like, um, Max is going to make him pay. And if Max can touch him once in an exchange, he's going to touch him twice. And if he touches him twice, there's a good chance he might touch him 3 times. And yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I think Max's chin is also cracked to a degree. We've just seen him take more damage and be affected by this damage more than he's ever been, and that naturally happens to everybody. And Oliveira has power, so who knows? Oliveira could hurt Max really bad and finish him on the feet. The body shots might give Max a lot of issues. I don't know if Max has ever faced anybody with good knees like that, good body shots like that. But for all of Oliveira's best attacks, he has to get within striking distance with Max. And that's just the issue right there. I think Max is going to really punish him there. Again, I really want to see Oliveira's actual takedowns. I feel like we don't get to see that often. We see him kind of happen to get on the ground with people or jump on their backs and stuff. There's not usually a lot of situations where he could shoot for the takedown. And again, it is almost hard to pick against Oliveira because we've seen Oliveira go against strikers, well-rounded strikers before. Dustin Poirier, Justin Gaethje. Who's to say Max Holloway's any different, right? But this isn't that prime Oliveira on that run. Again, he got colded less than a year ago. Um, and Max is just a very accurate striker that throws punches and bunches. And Oliveira can handle the pace, but I don't know if his chin will be able to handle the strikes. Max is a very smart fighter. He fights smart. He's not like Gaethje, and he fights smarter than Poirier, I would say as well. So, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Like I said, I got Max. I don't. Oliveira could win. I wouldn't. I'm not going to be mad either way of who wins. I don't really have a preference either way. Honestly, neither of these guys are like my top 3 favorite fighters ever. They never really were, but I they're up there. I really like them. But if Oliveira goes out there and gets colded again early on in the first round, he might have to start looking at hanging him up, to be honest. Because that's a lot of damage to take back to not back to back. See, he fought Gamrot, but that'd be a lot of damage to take. At least in terms of losses back to back. If he goes out there and gets colded at, I want to see these guys become analysts. I want to see them. I want to see kind of a stable of good analysts and stuff build up because that'll help the sport overall. Kind of like ESPN, you have Strahan, you have uh, uh fucking Club Shay Shay. You guys know what I mean. All these, I'm tripping right now, but all these former players as analysts, I think the sport is better if we have more of these guys that have more brain cells, more ability to talk good. Because no offense, Dustin Poirier, um, he's there. If they wait a little too long, it really diminishes their analytical skills. Um, but as for what's next for the winner of this fight, um, I don't know. It's very interesting because regardless of who wins, even if it is via vicious KO in the first round, both guys got finished by Ilia Topuria. It'll be hard to call for that shot. I would imagine they'd have to fight one more person. But with Arman Tsarukyan making the big headlines lately with his wrestling match against Giorgio and everything like that, there's a good argument that the UFC will never put Arman in a proper title fight, because he's too much of a liability. And if that's the case, his BMF belt might kind of be the answer to that. You can say, hey, we gave him the best we could, but we can't trust this guy, whatever. The BMF would be fitting. Arman's going out doing fucking anything and everything, and he's fighting everywhere, anyone, anytime. He's proven it. So that might not be a bad idea, Arman versus the winner of the BMF title. But again, I think regardless, people are going to be upset he's not fighting Ilya. But it kind of gives Arman something to do because we know Ilya is fighting Justin Gaethje next, right? Nothing's going to change that, I would imagine. It's Ilya v. Gaethje. He's the fucking interim title champ versus the undisputed champ. You got to unify it. Now, we've seen in the past with John Jones and Tom Aspinall, that's not always the case, but there's nobody for Arman or nobody for Gaethje to really defend it against. Maybe Arman. The only reason Tom had to defend his is because Jones wasn't ready, but we're hearing Ilya is going to be ready. So who knows when that'll happen, though. But yeah, a round 1 KO for maybe a Max Holloway. That fight, the Holloway Ilya fight, was long enough ago. Maybe the fans may have forgot about it, and Holloway could finagle a little bit there. But realistically, Holloway and Oliveira are 2 fights away from even getting in that title conversation again. Holloway, he would really have to cold Oliveira bad, similar to how Ilya did, and maybe a quick turnaround on the White House or something like that to get that fight, because he also got finished by Ilya Topuria, and it's really hard to. Yes, it was in another division, but the visual of him getting knocked down by Ilya Topuria, it's that kind of destroys any leverage that Max Holloway may have in title fight conversation. So I'm very, very curious to see how this fight turns out. But Pat. I mean, right? There's a lot of people that could. Yeah, BSD. He could fight the loser or winner of this fight for the BMF. I don't think BSD is BMF level yet, even though he beat. Ooh, even though he beat uh uh Dan. I still think Dan is. Is that who we fought last? I still think Dan is. I still think Dan is the guy. To be honest. I don't care how washed Dan Hooker is. You got to give that man the BMF title fight. We are gonna look back, look at the run Dan Hooker went on, and just be like, how did this sick fucking ever fight for the BMF title? He's a true BMF degenerate. Truly, anyone, anywhere, anytime. You know, you know. But whatever. I mean, if he were to fucking fight Oliveira or what's it called anyways? Oliver or Holloway anyways, he'd be fucked up. He'd be fucked anyways. But yeah, I mean, let's just go over my picks again. Uh, I had RoboCop. I think this will be a really good fight. It's kind of 50-50 to me. It'll be a car crash of a fight. Someone's getting finished. But I got RoboCop. I think he's just a little bit calmer under pressure, a lot more accurate in the striking, and I think that'll really benefit him very early on. A little bit quicker with the hands as well. I got Michael Johnson here. I mean, we've just been kind of watching the fall of Drew Dober the last couple fights. Dober could catch Michael Johnson, but that beautiful, magnificent chin has been cracked, and Michael Johnson looked really accurate in his last fight. So that doesn't bode well for Drew Dober. I got Michael Johnson via TKO there. Um, this was interesting. I got Rosas. I would imagine the UFC wouldn't want to give Rosas Rob Font unless they felt like it's a solid chance for him to win. But this is no doubt a very tough fight for him. We're gonna find out whether Rosas is mid or not. If Rosas hasn't leveled up in his striking or MMA altogether and mixed everything up real well, Rob Font will fucking expose him and will uh, punish him brutally. Like I said, if Rosas loses this fight, he's gonna lose very bad. But I got Rosas. I trust that he has a good team around him. He's young, and I trust that he's been grinding. So I got Rosas there via maybe unanimous decision or submission. This one's pretty Kai Barra versus RDR, pretty straightforward for me. I got Kaio. I just think Kaio's proven he's just a lot better on the pressure and he's a lot more tough, so to speak. I mean, he's proven he could go harder for longer. You know, that's what she said against tougher opponents in RDR, in my opinion. When RDR faces adversity, he seemingly crumbles. Um, Obviously, main event, I just yapped about it. I have Max Holloway. Again, Oliveira, he's beaten a lot of people like Max Holloway before on his prime run. But Oliveira isn't on that prime run anymore. Uh, Honestly, I think the fight is going to be decided in the clinch. In the clinch, if Oliveira just does what he wants in the clinch in that range, if he could just grab Max, pull him in, stop Max from landing strikes, and just land his knees, I think that'll give Max a lot of issues, and who knows. But as I said, for Oliveira to get these shots to do his best work, he needs to get very close within very close striking range. And Max throws punches and bunches. If he lands one, he's gonna land two. If he lands two, he's trying to land three, and he might. I just don't think Oliveira is gonna have the chin to handle it. We kind of saw in the Ilya Oliveira fight. Every time Oliveira went in and tried to collar tie, Oliveira ate some shots. And unlucky for Oliveira, this opponent is his height or taller even. So those elbows and those easy uppercuts are not going to be gimmies the way they were for an Ilya. Because if you go back in this fight, the best shots that he landed were when Ilya was coming in. And they were at like chest level and below. They were a lot easier and sneakier for Oliveira to throw. For him to land an elbow or something on the Holloway coming in, it would have to be a lot higher, a lot more deliberate, a lot more telegraphed. And Holloway doesn't even strike like that anyways. He pokes at you. He picks and pokes. So uh yeah, I mean Oliveira does have power and Holloway's chin is kind of weaker, but again, Oliveira cannot trade with Holloway. If he tries, he's gonna get knocked out. Um and yeah, if Holloway can't stop the clinch work, if Oliveira can even get him down easy, then it's cooked. Yeah, if Oliveira goes out there and fucking gets Holloway down in the first minute and just keeps him there, Holloway's fucking cooked, dude. but I wonder how much the fact that it's a BMF fight is gonna influence Oliveira's game planning. Is he gonna say, "Fuck it, bro, I'm here for fun, this is the BMF belt," or is he gonna go out there and just win? Because he clearly has a grappling advantage. Um, but like I said, I think Max has been around the block one too many times. He's not gonna fall into anything obvious. Oliveira is gonna have to force the grappling exchanges, and he's gonna take some damage going into it. So both guys could go 5 rounds. Uh, both guys are tough as shit. Both guys are aging a little bit. Both guys are not fighting for a title next, regardless of how this goes. But I got to go with Max, man. He seems like the slightly fresher fighter. And as much as we may not want to hear it, I feel like Oliveira's on his way out the door. Truly, I think he's just kind of, him losing to Ilya the way he did. Uh, unless Arman somehow comes in or Gaethje somehow comes in and beats Ilya, Oliveira's not fighting for the belt again. He's kind of in a Sugar Sean O'Malley situation. He needs a former opponent that he beat to beat Ilia Topuria if he wants to fight for the belt again, similarly to how Peter Yan beat Marab. That's what he needs if he wants another title shot. Anything short of that, he's not going to get it. He got fucking slept cold. Cold. Maybe knockout of the year. It wasn't, but it could have been by Ilia Topuria. So, yeah, very interesting fight. I'm not mad if Oliveira wins. I don't really. I'm a big fan of both of these guys. I don't really care who wins either way. But I mean, it's hard not to go. It's hard not to go with Max Holloway. Oliveira gets hit even in his good wins against Gaethje and Dustin Poirier. Oliveira got pieced up, um, right? Even in his prime run, Max Holloway is really good at piecing people up. He throws shit at the wall to see what sticks, and a lot of that shit will stick to Oliveira. And I just don't think he'll be able to handle the weight of all that. So yeah, those are my picks, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Um, and yeah, I don't really have much else to talk about. That's kind of it. Uh, yeah, I mean, we've been live for about an hour and a half, roughly. It's good enough. I'm getting a little bit hot in here. I left my heat on and my heater, so I'm getting hot. But yeah, that's probably gonna do it, guys. That's probably gonna do it. Thanks for tuning in. As always, it is very, very, very much appreciated. We are a very small channel, so every interaction, every like, every chat, every view, everything, it goes a long fucking way. Um, it tells the algorithm that you like what I'm doing here. And if you do, like, subscribe. As you can see the counter on the bottom. Once I hit 100 subs, I'm giving away 100 fucking dollars. That's how grateful I am to be doing this, guys. I will pay you to watch me. All you got to do is subscribe and like, and just tune in. Who knows? Once I hit 100, you might win $100. Follow me over on X/Twitter at Open Mat Show Live. I tweet, react to any breaking news instantly over there. I'm always on there. So if you really want to argue with me or talk shit to me or whatever, uh, that's the place to do it. And yeah, comment down below. What did you think of my picks? Do you think Oliveira is going to get fucked up the way I think he is? Or do you think Max Holloway is no different than a Dustin Poirier or Justin Gaethje, and Oliveira is just going to mow them down? I don't know. Uh, like I said, I don't really care who wins either way, but uh, their styles just don't bode well. They really don't bode well for Charles Oliveira. I mean, yeah, I don't want to get in another ramble about it, but yeah. Just thanks for tuning in, guys. I'm so excited. I'm gonna have an instant reaction uploaded. Just pay attention. You're gonna have a lot of videos coming up. I'm gonna start doing instant reactions. Upload those maybe Sunday or Monday. Obviously, we'll have our show Wednesday, and if any crazy, main event changes happens, I'll probably upload instant reactions to that. Um, but yeah, we're live every Wednesday, guys, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Um, it is a call-in show. I always forget to mention that this is a call-in show. If you want to argue with me, you can call in. I kind of need to clean up the Discord though. Joining the Discord link is in the bio. But yeah, I'm kind of rambling here, guys. I'm gonna go watch Survivor. I don't know if you guys watch that, but I'm a pretty big fan of Survivor. I started at 8 p.m. and I have it paused. So I'm gonna go watch that. Again, uh, truly, I'm grateful for anybody that is watching. I could fucking glaze you guys for a whole stream in of itself, but I'm just so grateful to be here talking about fights. I love combat sports, boxing, MMA, kickboxing, jiu-jitsu, all of it. I love it all. And I love talking about it. And anybody that tunes in, you give me more and more reason to continue to talk about it. So yeah, follow me over on Twitter, Open Mat Show Live, like, subscribe, all that. Live every Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern time. I'm talking over myself, saying the same shit over. See you guys. Uh, and tune in this Sunday. I'll have my instant reaction out. See ya.